The silver halls of the Galactic Council shimmered with quiet energy. Stars glowed through the transparent ceiling, each point of light a reminder of countless worlds united under one banner. Delegates from 100 different species filled the grand chamber, their voices a low hum of tension. Some spoke through translators, others with telepathic whispers. Today, every eye turned toward the newest and most unpredictable member of the galaxy, Earth. At the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Helena Ward, humanity's chosen voice. Her dark suit bore the emblem of a blue-green planet, a small but proud symbol. Behind her waited a team of scientists, diplomats, and military advisors. Their faces carried the weight of an entire world's future. They had traveled light years for this meeting, but the air around them felt heavier than any gravity. The Supreme Chancellor of the Council, a tall crystal-skinned being named Vorel, raised a multifaceted hand. "The session is now called to order," the Chancellor declared. His voice, deep and vibrating like struck glass, echoed across the chamber. "The matter of Earth's membership will be decided today." Helena stepped forward. Her heart raced, but her voice stayed steady. "Honored Council members," she began, "humanity has worked side by side with you for 20 years. We have shared our research, our resources, and our dreams. Why do you now question our right to remain among you?" A murmur swept through the chamber. A delegate from the Thalari species, whose serpentine body shimmered with metallic scales, coiled around its platform and hissed. "Because humans move too quickly. You expand without caution. Your colonies grow faster than agreements can be signed. You give advanced technology to worlds we chose to keep primitive. Your actions threaten the balance we have protected for millennia." Another delegate, a feathered being from the Avarine worlds, nodded sharply. "Your scientists experiment without waiting for council approval. Your quantum drives, your new energy cores, dangerous, all of them. We fear chaos." Helena listened, her hands clasped behind her back. She had heard these accusations before, but today they carried a final weight. "Progress is not chaos," she replied. "It is the nature of life to grow. If our discoveries help other worlds, should we hide them because you fear change?" The chamber fell silent for a moment. Helena's words rang with quiet defiance, but the silence broke when Chancellor Vorel raised his hand again. "Humanity," Vorel said, his crystalline voice steady but cold. "Your passion is clear. Yet passion is not enough to safeguard the galaxy. The Council has debated your conduct for many cycles. We have witnessed your relentless expansion, your disregard for ancient restrictions, and your willingness to act without approval. The vote will now proceed." Helena's breath caught. Around the chamber, glowing panels lit up as each delegate cast their decision. One by one, the lights turned red, the color of rejection. Thalari, Avarine, Silvari, even the normally neutral Makar. Only a single green light blinked in Earth's favor, belonging to a quiet species known as the Clear. It was not enough. Chancellor Vorel lowered his hand. "The decision is unanimous. Earth is expelled from the Galactic Council. Effective immediately, trade routes will be restricted. Access to Council wormhole networks is terminated. Human colonies will no longer receive protection or recognition." A sharp gasp escaped from the human delegation. Some clenched their fists. Others lowered their eyes in disbelief. Years of diplomacy, countless missions of cooperation, and shared victories against cosmic threats, erased in an instant. Helena stood perfectly still. Her heart pounded, but her mind burned with a strange clarity. She stepped forward once more. "You speak of balance," she said, her voice firm but controlled. "But what you truly fear is a species that refuses to be limited. Humanity will not be chained by fear of the future. If this council rejects us, we will find our own path." The chamber buzzed with uneasy whispers. Vorel's crystal features reflected a faint flicker of uncertainty, but he remained silent. No council member spoke in defense or apology. The decision had been made. Helena turned and signaled to her team. The human delegation gathered their datapads and followed her out of the chamber. As they walked the long corridor toward their ship, the shining walls of the council hall seemed colder than ever. They passed alien guards who avoided their eyes. A few sympathetic Clear attendants offered a subtle nod of respect, but no words were exchanged. Outside, the stars of the council's central system burned bright and indifferent. Earth's delegation boarded their sleek diplomatic vessel, Unity Dawn, and prepared for departure. Inside the command deck, the mood was tense and silent. Finally, Admiral Kenji Rao broke the quiet. "They've cut off our trade, our wormhole access, and our voice," he said. This will hurt every colony. What now? Helena gazed through the viewport at the endless sea of stars. We adapt, she answered. It's what we've always done. Chief Scientist Amara Singh leaned forward, her eyes thoughtful. We still have the quantum drive prototypes. If we complete the tests, we won't need their wormholes. We could reach new systems on our own. Admiral Rao frowned. The Council will see that as a threat. They already see us as a threat, Helena said quietly. That's why they expelled us. The word settled over the crew like a silent promise. Humanity had been pushed away but not defeated. Each person in that room felt a spark. Anger, yes, but also determination. The Council believed they were punishing Earth. Instead, they had removed the last chain holding humanity back. As the Unity Dawn left orbit, the crew watched the shining citadel of the Galactic Council grow smaller behind them. For centuries, alien species had ruled the stars with quiet control, setting rules and limits for all younger civilizations. But today, a new story had begun. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Across continents and oceans, people gathered in city squares and digital networks. Some shouted in anger, some wept in fear, but many simply stared at the sky with quiet resolve. Nations that once competed now faced a common challenge. Leaders held emergency meetings, but ordinary citizens were already sharing messages of unity. In a small workshop on the outskirts of Nairobi, an engineer named Amina adjusted the prototype of a compact quantum core. She had worked on it for years under strict council guidelines. Now those restrictions were gone. They think they can cage us, she whispered to herself. But they just opened the door. Across the Atlantic, in an underground research station beneath the Rocky Mountains, a team of scientists activated experimental drives that had been kept secret for fear of council disapproval. They watched as energy readings surpassed every known limit. Humanity was no longer bound by old laws. Above the Pacific Ocean, the Unity Dawn broke into faster-than-light speed, its engines glowing with blue light. Helena Ward stood at the observation deck, hands clasped behind her back. She thought of Earth's long journey, the first rockets, the first colonies, the long years of careful diplomacy. The Council believed humanity needed their approval to reach the stars. They were wrong. Let them close their doors, Helena murmured to Admiral Rao beside her. We'll build our own, the Admiral gave a thin smile, and we'll make it better. Far behind them, the Galactic Council continued its session, unaware that their unanimous decision had lit a fire brighter than any star. By trying to contain Earth, they had forged the first spark of something greater, an independence that no decree could erase. Humanity was no longer a guest in the galaxy. They were about to become something far more powerful. The Unity Dawn slipped through the darkness of space like a silent arrow. Earth's delegation sat within its steel walls, each person thinking of the same question: what happens next? The Galactic Council had spoken. Trade routes were closed. Wormhole access was gone. Protection was lost. But humanity still breathed, and that meant possibility. Ambassador Helena Ward watched the starfield from the observation deck. The glow of distant suns reflected in her eyes. The Council's citadel was far behind them now, shrinking into a tiny speck of cold light. For years she had negotiated for peace and cooperation. Today she felt something different, a calm fire that would not be put out. On the bridge, Admiral Kenji Rao studied a rotating map of known space. Red lines marked the Council's controlled wormholes, each one now closed to human ships. He shook his head slowly. They think this will trap us, he said. But space is too wide for cages. Chief Scientist Amara Singh stood beside him, her tablet glowing with new data. Our quantum drive tests are almost ready. If we finish the designs and build enough cores, we can bypass their network completely. We could travel even faster than their fastest chips? Kenji raised an eyebrow. You mean outfly the entire Council? Amara nodded once. If we succeed. Helena turned from the window. Then we succeed. We have no other choice. Back on Earth, the first waves of news hit every screen and network. Across the planet, from the crowded markets of Lagos to the glass towers of Shanghai, people paused to watch the Council's declaration. Many felt fear. Without the Council's trade, rare elements for star drives and medical nanotech would grow scarce. Colonies on distant moons might lose supplies. But as hours passed, fear began to shift. In the great city of New Geneva, world leaders gathered in an emergency summit. Nations that once argued over oceans and borders now shared one round table. President Yara Chen of the Pacific Alliance addressed them first. "The Council believes they have punished us," she said. "But they have freed us. No more waiting for alien approval. We must build our own future. Together." Across the table, Prime Minister Alim Qureshi of the Eurasian Union tapped the data screen before him. "Our scientists have blueprints for independent drives. We have hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt. With shared resources, we can begin construction immediately." The room buzzed with cautious excitement. Old rivalries faded under a common need. For centuries, humanity had fought itself. Now the enemy was not a nation, but limitation itself. Weeks later, in the shadow of Ceres Station, the first secret meeting of the new Terran Assembly took place. Representatives from every major nation arrived quietly, traveling in unmarked shuttles. The chamber was a repurposed mining dome, its walls lined with glowing hollow maps of the solar system. Engineers, scientists, and strategists filled the seats. No flags decorated the room. Only a single emblem shone at the center table, a simple star rising above a blue planet. Helena Ward stood to speak. "The Council expelled us because we grow too fast. Let them fear our growth. We will not beg to return. We will build something stronger, a network of our own design." Admiral Rao projected a map of potential colonies beyond Council borders. "Uncharted systems lie here, here, and here," he said, highlighting 3 distant clusters. "The Council avoids them because the wormholes are unstable. With quantum drives, instability will not matter. We can claim resources no one else dares to touch." Dr. Amara Singh followed with her report. "We have completed small-scale tests of the Q drive. Travel time to Proxima Centauri can be cut to a single week. Longer jumps will require larger cores, but the math is sound. We only need time and materials." The Assembly voted without hesitation. The decision was unanimous. Humanity would build its own fleets independent of the Council. Far from the meetings, ordinary people began to act. On the frozen plains of Mars, miners offered to convert their refineries into engine factories. In the floating cities of Venus, aeronautical engineers volunteered to design hulls strong enough for deep void travel. Students in universities from Mumbai to Montreal formed innovation cells, small groups dedicated to solving problems the Council once forbade. One such group, led by a young programmer named Leila Ortiz, cracked the encryption used by Council trade beacons. Her breakthrough allowed Terran ships to locate abandoned supply routes hidden for centuries. When asked why she risked punishment, she smiled. "They threw us out," she said. "Why follow their rules?" Meanwhile, the Council's blockade began to tighten. Patrol fleets were spotted near human colonies on Europa and Titan. Merchant convoys reported inspections and confiscations. A message from the Thalari delegation warned of severe consequences if humans attempted independent expansion. On Earth, these reports only hardened resolve. People no longer spoke of rejoining the Council. Instead, they spoke of freedom. News feeds carried stories of small victories. A cargo ship slipping past patrols using experimental stealth plating. A research team on Enceladus creating a self-sustaining fusion core from local ice. Each success fueled public pride. In Nairobi, engineer Amina Karim tested the first full-scale Q-drive core in a hidden hangar. As the drive pulsed with blue light, her team erupted in cheers. "No wormholes needed," Amina whispered, eyes wide with wonder. "We are free." The first completed ship, the TSV Horizon, rolled out of the Ceres shipyard 6 months later. Sleek and silver, its hull bore no national flag, only the emblem of the rising star. Helena Ward stood with the crew as the ship prepared for its maiden voyage. Reporters asked if the Assembly feared Council retaliation. Helena answered with quiet confidence. "The Council closed their doors. We opened the universe. Let them watch." When the Horizon's engines roared to life, a deep vibration echoed through the dome. The ship leapt forward, streaking into the black void faster than any Council craft could follow. Cheers erupted across every human channel. A new era had begun, but not all was celebration. In the shadowed halls of the Council's citadel, alarm spread. Reports of the Horizon's speed and range shocked even the most advanced species. The Averine delegate clutched her feathered wings in frustration. "They were expelled," she hissed. "How do they grow stronger?" Chancellor Varel stared at the glowing star map, his crystal body reflecting a troubled light. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we have underestimated the humans. Back in the Terran Assembly, Helena reviewed new alliances forming beyond Council space. Minor species long ignored by the Council had begun sending secret messages of friendship. Small mining clans offered trade agreements. Independent worlds requested shared technology. Humanity's promise was simple: mutual respect, open exchange, no domination. Admiral Rao studied the incoming data. If these worlds join us, the Council will see it as a threat. Helena met his gaze. They already do. But we will not turn them away. We build bridges, not cages. The Assembly approved a plan to send envoys aboard the next Q-Drive ships. Diplomatic missions would travel where no Council ship had dared, offering trade, technology, and friendship to anyone willing to stand outside the old order. On a quiet night aboard the Unity Dawn, Helena stood once again at the observation deck. Below her, the half-lit Earth turned slowly, blue oceans shining against the black. She thought of the Council's words: reckless, dangerous, uncontrollable. Perhaps they were right. Humanity was uncontrollable, but in that uncontrollable nature lay the greatest strength: the refusal to stop reaching. Admiral Rao joined her, hands clasped behind his back. "The Horizon reports success," he said softly. "They've mapped a new system already. Resources are abundant. They're naming the Central Star Independence." Helena allowed a small smile. "Fitting," she said. "This is only the beginning." Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, silent and waiting. The Council believed they had isolated Earth. Instead, they had awakened it. The seeds of defiance had taken root, and nothing in the galaxy could stop them from growing. The TSV Horizon cut through the black ocean of space like a silver spear. Its quantum drive hummed with steady light, carrying it to regions no Council ship dared to enter. Behind the Horizon came a fleet of smaller scouts, each carrying scientists, engineers, and explorers. They were the first wave of a new Terran effort, Operation Dawnreach, humanity's plan to claim the stars beyond Council control. Ambassador Helena Ward watched the fleet's progress from the Unity Dawn's command deck. Data streams filled the air in glowing patterns: resource scans, star maps, encrypted signals from distant colonies. Each flicker of light told the same story: success. 3 new systems charted this week, reported Chief Scientist Amara Singh, her eyes bright with excitement. The Horizon has confirmed stable planets in the Independence Cluster. 2 are rich in rare metals, 1 shows signs of simple life. All outside Council boundaries. Admiral Kenji Rao gave a short nod. "Council patrols?" "None detected," Amara replied. "They're still guarding the wormholes. They haven't realized we don't need them anymore." Kenji allowed himself a rare smile. "Then we stay ahead. We move faster than their questions." Helena folded her arms, gazing at the glowing map. "Every new system strengthens us, but strength invites attention. We must be careful. The Council will not ignore this forever." Far across the void, the Independence Cluster became humanity's first real test of power. The Horizon touched down on New Dawn, a rocky planet bathed in pale sunlight. Its surface glittered with untapped mineral veins. Teams in exosuits spread across the terrain, setting up atmospheric processors and energy fields. Drones hummed as they drilled, analyzed, and transmitted data back to Earth. Captain Layla Ortiz, once a young programmer and now the Horizon's operations chief, surveyed the Horizon through her visor. "We can build here," she said over the comm. "No radiation spikes, no hostile life. Enough resources for a fleet." Her team cheered as the first Terran banner, a rising star on a blue field, was planted in the rocky soil. Cameras broadcast the moment to every colony and city across the solar system. Billions watched in awe as a new world welcomed the human touch. Back in the Terran assembly chambers beneath Ceres, the reports fueled a wave of bold decisions. Representatives approved the construction of frontier stations, massive, self-sufficient habitats to support deep space fleets. Funding flowed from every nation and colony. Former rivals now competed to contribute the most engineers, the fastest ship designs, the most daring ideas. Dr. Amara Singh unveiled a new breakthrough to the assembly. "The Q-Drive can now sustain continuous jumps," she announced. "Travel to distant clusters will take days, not weeks. No Council ship can match this speed." Applause filled the chamber. For the first time in recorded history, humanity possessed technology beyond the reach of the oldest galactic powers. News of these advances traveled far beyond human space. In the shadowy corridors of the Galactic Council's citadel, tension grew. Reports from outlying sectors spoke of Terran ships appearing in regions previously unreachable, striking trade deals with independent worlds, and vanishing before patrols could intercept them. The Averine delegate ruffled her feathers in frustration. "Their fleet grows faster than we can track," she hissed. "How is this possible? We cut them off from our routes." Chancellor Vorel studied the star maps, his crystal body reflecting the cold light of data. "They have found another way," he said softly. "Perhaps they never needed us as much as we believed." The Thalari delegate coiled its metallic body tighter. "Then we must act. Their influence spreads like wildfire. Minor species send envoys to Earth. They whisper of trade, of alliance. If this continues, the Council will lose control." But Vorel only lowered his gaze. "We underestimated them once. We must not rush again. Humanity thrives under pressure. Force may strengthen them further." Meanwhile, on the frontier, the Terran fleets continued their quiet expansion. The Horizon's sister ship, the TSV Pioneer, entered an uncharted nebula known for violent storms of ionized gas. Inside, they discovered Kavari Station, an abandoned outpost left by an ancient race. Its walls contained technology even the Council had never seen, data crystals that stored centuries of energy within a single shard. Captain Layla Ortiz sent a secure message to the assembly. "We have found something extraordinary. With this tech, we could power entire colonies without Council fuel. The possibilities are endless." The assembly responded with a single order: study, adapt, build. As Terran influence spread, small alien factions began to reach out. Representatives from the Clear, the only species that had voted in Earth's favor, arrived at the Ceres station under heavy secrecy. Their leader, a being of shimmering blue light named Eshar, spoke through a translator. "The Council fears you," Eshar said, "but we admire your courage. We seek friendship. Our worlds are rich in energy crystals. We will share them if you promise mutual defense." Helena Ward welcomed the offer with measured words. "Humanity does not seek war," she said, "but we will protect those who stand with us. Together we can build something better than the Council's cold order." The alliance was sealed that day. Soon after, other minor species sent envoys, traders from the icy worlds of Mur, refugees from the war-torn Zhao Confederacy, even dissident groups from Council member planets. Each came with trade offers, scientific data, or pleas for safe harbor. Where the Council enforced hierarchy, the Terran Assembly promised partnership. It was an idea as powerful as any weapon, but the Council did not remain idle. Months into Operation Dawnreach, Terran scouts reported the first signs of Council interference. A patrol fleet of Sylvari warships appeared near the Independence Cluster, broadcasting warnings of unauthorized expansion. The Sylvari demanded an immediate withdrawal of human forces. Admiral Kenji Rao responded from the Unity Dawn with careful diplomacy. "These systems lie outside recognized Council territory," he transmitted. "Human presence violates no treaty. We suggest you leave peacefully." The Sylvari commander refused. A tense standoff began. Human ships, faster but lightly armed, held their positions while the Sylvari fleet loomed at the edge of the system. Helena Ward appeared on the command deck, her face calm but determined. "No firing," she ordered. "Let them see we are not aggressors, but hold our ground." For 3 days, the two fleets stared at each other across the stars. Terran engineers worked silently, reinforcing shields and preparing escape routes. Then, without warning, the Sylvari withdrew. No explanation followed. Perhaps they feared the unknown capabilities of the Q drive. Perhaps they feared provoking a conflict that might rally more species to Earth. Whatever the reason, the message was clear. The Council's power was not absolute. On Earth, the incident electrified public opinion. News networks replayed footage of Terran ships holding their line against the ancient Sylvari. Citizens celebrated in streets and digital forums. Children painted the rising star emblem on school walls. The Council's attempt to intimidate had become another victory for human pride. Engineer Amina Karim, now head of the Quantum Drive Initiative, addressed a cheering crowd in Nairobi. "They tried to cage us," she declared, her voice echoing through the open-air dome. "Now they fear us, but we will not become what they are. Our power is for exploration, for friendship, for freedom." Within the Terran Assembly, debates grew sharper. Some delegates pushed for stronger defenses, even weapons to match the Council's fleets. Others urged caution, fearing an arms race. Helena Ward listened to every argument but remained steady. "We did not come this far to build another council," she reminded them. "Our strength lies in our spirit, not in domination. We will protect ourselves, but we will not become tyrants." Her words calmed the chamber, and a new plan emerged: expand alliances, strengthen technology, and avoid open war while continuing to explore. Months passed, and the human sphere of influence stretched wider. Frontier stations glittered across the Independence cluster. Trade ships carried clear energy crystals and myrrh ice metal back to the solar system. Education networks linked human and alien students in shared learning. New star maps revealed routes once hidden behind council-controlled space. On a quiet evening aboard the Unity Dawn, Helena stood with Admiral Rao at the observation deck. Below them, a freshly colonized planet glowed with the lights of its first Terran city. "Do you ever wonder?" Kenji asked softly. "If the Council could have stopped this before it began?" Helena smiled faintly. "They tried. By pushing us away, they set us free. The Council gave us the galaxy, Admiral. They just don't know it yet." The stars outside sparkled like 1,000 silent witnesses. Humanity, once a newcomer begging for a seat, now carved its own destiny. The first sparks of a new empire glowed across the void, bright, unstoppable, and human. The stars seemed unusually bright that day, as if the galaxy itself held its breath. From the observation deck of the Unity Dawn, Ambassador Helena Ward watched the glow of distant suns, each one a potential new world waiting to join humanity's growing sphere of influence. Reports from the Independence cluster had grown urgent. Small council patrols were now attempting to track and intercept Terran vessels. For the first time, the humans faced a real test of their fledgling power. Admiral Kenji Rao entered the observation room, his expression tense. "The Council has sent a combined fleet, Silvari Avarine and Thalari vessels. Estimates suggest over 200 ships. They intend to blockade New Dawn and cut off our supply lines." Helena nodded. "They believe numbers alone will intimidate us. Let them think that. Our fleets are faster, smarter, and united. The question is not if we can defeat them, but how we present ourselves." In the Independence cluster, the first Council ships appeared like dark shadows against the glittering nebula. Human scouts reported the fleet's approach, and Terran colonies readied their defenses. Frontier stations activated energy shields, resource depots were secured, and civilian ships were moved to safer orbit. Engineers worked tirelessly, integrating quantum slipstream routes to allow the human fleets to appear where the Council least expected. Captain Layla Ortiz piloted the TSV Horizon through a volatile asteroid belt, using it as cover. "They won't see us coming until it's too late," she said to her crew. "Stay sharp. Every move counts." Terran fleets, small but agile, positioned themselves strategically around New Dawn. Each ship carried not only weapons but advanced sensors, drones and decoy vessels designed to confuse the larger Council ships. The humans relied on speed and tactics rather than sheer force. On Earth, the Terran Assembly convened an emergency session. Every representative understood the stakes. This blockade was more than an attempt to halt expansion. It was a test of humanity's resolve. Dr. Amara Singh addressed the Council. "Our Q-drive ships can bypass traditional patrols using slipstream channels. If we coordinate carefully, we can disrupt the Council's supply lines without engaging in full battle. This is not war. It is strategy," Ambassador Helena added. "We are not here to conquer. We are here to prove that humanity can explore freely. Every species watching will see what cooperation, speed, and ingenuity can achieve." The Assembly approved a bold plan: split the fleet into 3 groups. One would defend the colonies. One would target Council supply lines, and the third, led personally by Helena and Admiral Rao, would confront the blockade fleet directly, but indirectly, using misdirection and superior technology. The day of confrontation arrived. Council fleets, confident in their superior numbers, approached the Independence cluster in tight formations. Their long-range cannons hummed and shields glinted under distant starlight. The Terran fleets, smaller and less armed, waited patiently in hidden positions, using asteroid belts and nebula gases for concealment. Captain Layla Ortiz communicated through encrypted channels. "All units, remember, no direct engagement unless necessary. Our strength is speed, surprise, and strategy. Let them chase shadows." The Council ships advanced only to find their sensors scrambled. Terran decoys darted left and right, slipping through the gaps between massive patrols. Quantum slipstream bursts allowed small strike teams to appear suddenly behind Council supply convoys, disabling engines and forcing retreats without a single human casualty. Admiral Rao observed the battlefield through the Unity Dawn's advanced holographic display. "They underestimate us," he said quietly. "They believe experience alone will win, but experience does not account for creativity." On the front lines, TSV Pioneer used a newly tested cloaking device to silently move past the Council ships. Its mission: disable the energy relay that powered the patrol fleet's forward shields. Layla Ortiz's voice was calm as she directed the maneuvers. 3, 2, 1, now. The relay exploded in a controlled detonation, sending ripples of energy across the Council formation. Shields flickered, sensors scrambled, and the patrol fleet's coordination faltered. Small Terran strike teams quickly moved in, exploiting the disruption to secure strategic points. Within hours, what had seemed an unstoppable blockade became fragmented, confused, and vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Council's command citadel received live reports of the chaos. The Silvari admiral hissed in disbelief. "How can this be? They are too small, too few. They should not have this level of control." The Averine delegate squawked. "It is impossible. We have over 200 ships! Why do they outmaneuver us at every turn?" Chancellor Vorel studied the reports in silence, his crystalline form reflecting deep concern. "They are not merely reacting," he said. "They anticipate. They innovate. This is not a normal species. They are a storm." Back in the cluster, Ambassador Helena Ward projected a calm front to both her allies and the Council. Using holographic communication channels, she addressed the galaxy. Her message was clear, precise, and powerful. Humanity does not seek war. We do not desire to dominate. We only wish to explore, to grow, and to build alliances. Let it be known. No threat, no blockade, and no outdated rule will stop us from reaching our potential. The stars are vast, and there is room for all who are willing to cooperate. The broadcast reached independent species across the galaxy, especially those oppressed or ignored by the Council. Messages of hope and admiration flooded the Terran communication network. Even some Council worlds began to question their leadership. The sight of a smaller, clever, and coordinated species standing against ancient powers stirred unrest. In orbit above New Dawn, Admiral Rao and Helena observed the aftermath. Council fleets had begun retreating, not in defeat, but in confusion. Terran ships moved quickly, securing vital resources and rebuilding communications channels. Helena turned to Rao. "They will rethink their strategy, and we will be ready." Rao nodded. "Every step we take shows the galaxy that humans cannot be contained. Every action strengthens our alliances, and alliances were growing. Minor species long neglected by the Council began sending envoys openly. Trading agreements, research partnerships, and cultural exchanges began to flourish. Humanity's promise was simple: cooperation, respect, and shared knowledge. It was a vision the old Council had never offered. In the weeks following the confrontation, the Terran fleets expanded further into the Independence cluster. Frontier stations multiplied, and new colonies took root on planets previously deemed unsuitable. Scientists experimented with local resources, adapting alien materials for human technology. Engineers converted abandoned outposts into research hubs. The pace of human expansion astonished even themselves. Captain Layla Ortiz led a team to survey a planet rich in magnetic ores. "This planet could supply all our hull needs for decades," she reported. "And the atmosphere is surprisingly breathable. We could establish a permanent colony here." Helena approved the plan. "Make it sustainable. Make it welcoming. Let every world we touch remember that humans bring opportunity, not fear." But not everyone celebrated. Within the Council, worry turned to anger. Some member species demanded immediate retaliation. Others hesitated, uncertain of how to respond to an independent species that moved faster, learned quicker, and inspired loyalty. Chancellor Vorel addressed the assembly. "The humans are no longer a single planet to be constrained. They have become an idea. They grow not only in numbers but in influence. If we act hastily, we may unify the very species we seek to control. Strategy, not force, must guide us now." The Council's internal divisions revealed a weakness that humans had never expected. Where once the Council acted as a united front, it now fractured under doubt and fear. Humanity's speed, innovation, and ethical vision had created cracks in the oldest power structure in the galaxy. Back in the Independence Cluster, the Terran Assembly met to assess the results of the blockade confrontation. Every delegate understood the significance. Humanity had not only survived the Council's first attempt to suppress them, but had demonstrated superior strategy and unity. Amara Singh addressed the Assembly. Our technology works, our tactics work, and our alliances grow daily. But we must continue improving. The Council will not give up easily. The next test will be harder. Helena nodded. Then we prepare. Not for revenge, not for conquest, but to ensure humanity and our allies can thrive. The galaxy is changing, and we are the spark. In the quiet of space, as Terran ships moved between colonies and research stations, a new confidence settled across humanity. The first major test of power had been met and surpassed. The Council had tried to impose limits, but the humans had outsmarted them. Every star reached, every alliance formed, and every colony established was a testament to the ingenuity and determination that had defined Earth for millennia. On the observation deck of the Unity Dawn, Helena gazed at a distant blue star recently named Liberty by the Terran Assembly. She thought of the long journey ahead, further clusters to explore, more alliances to form, and the eventual confrontation with a council that would not yield easily. But for the first time, she allowed herself to smile. Humanity had turned a tide, and with that the Terran fleet surged. The galaxy had changed. The stars that had once seemed distant and untouchable were now within humanity's grasp. From the observation deck of the Unity Dawn, Ambassador Helena Ward watched as Terran ships glided between newly claimed worlds. Each vessel carried supplies, settlers, scientists, and diplomats, a sign that humanity was no longer a solitary planet but the heart of a growing network. Admiral Kenji Rao stood beside her, hands clasped behind his back. "The Council is quiet," he said. "But we know they are watching." Helena nodded. "They are learning that we do not follow their rules. And that is what frightens them most." Across the galaxy, the fractured Galactic Council struggled to respond. Minor species, once silenced by the Council's authority, had begun openly allying with humanity. Envoys from Clear, Murjau, and dozens of other worlds had arrived at Terran stations, offering trade, resources, and intelligence. The old order, built on fear and hierarchy, was unraveling. Chancellor Vorel convened a secret session. "Humanity's influence spreads faster than we anticipated," he admitted. "They do not seek war, yet they gain allegiance far beyond their numbers. Our control is weakening. What measures can we take?" The Averine and Silvery delegates shouted suggestions of military action, but Vorel shook his head. "Force will only unite the very species we wish to dominate. Diplomacy may be our only path, though time is slipping away." Meanwhile, the Terran Assembly met to plan the next phase of expansion. The Independence Cluster had become fully operational, with several colonies thriving under human guidance. Trade networks linked dozens of minor species, and new settlements were planned in uncharted systems. Chief Scientist Amara Singh presented the latest advancement: autonomous construction drones capable of building stations and ships without human crews. This technology will allow us to expand faster than the Council can react. Each world can become self-sufficient while remaining connected to the Terran network. Admiral Rao leaned forward. "We must also strengthen our defense fleet. Not for war, but to ensure safety. Every colony, every alliance, every new species that trusts us must be protected." Ambassador Helena Ward addressed the Assembly, her voice calm but resolute. "Humanity was expelled to break us. Instead, we have grown stronger. The galaxy now sees that cooperation, innovation, and integrity create a power no force can ignore. Our empire will rise not by conquest, but by example." On a remote mining world in the Mir system, Terran engineers completed the first fully autonomous starship. Its hull gleamed silver, its quantum drive pulsing with blue light. Captain Leila Ortiz stepped aboard, aware that she commanded the first vessel built entirely outside Council influence. "This is more than a ship," she told her crew. "It is proof that humans and our allies can thrive without permission. It is proof that freedom works." The ship, named TSV Unity, departed for the outer systems, carrying scientists, supplies, and envoys from minor species. Wherever it went, the message was the same. The Terran Empire had begun, and it welcomed all who respected cooperation, progress, and peace. Back on Earth, celebrations marked the birth of the Terran Empire. Billions watched as the first formal proclamation was transmitted across space. Effective immediately, humanity and its allied species declare the formation of the Terran Stellar Empire. Its purpose is exploration, cooperation, and mutual respect among all civilizations. No species shall be coerced, no world shall be neglected. Together we will reach the stars. In city streets and colonies, people cheered. Students painted murals of rising stars. Engineers shared new ideas, and settlers on distant moons transmitted messages of hope to friends on Earth. The expulsion by the Council, once a source of fear, had become the spark that united the galaxy. The first diplomatic missions began. Envoys from oppressed or ignored species visited Terran stations, bringing gifts, technology, and knowledge. In return, humanity offered training, shared research, and protection against any threats. Minor species found safety and opportunity in the Terran Empire, and many openly withdrew support from the Council. Chancellor Vorel received reports of these defections with growing concern. The Council, which had once dominated through authority and fear, now faced a network of species that saw humans as leaders, not rulers. One Thalari delegate muttered, "They grow stronger every day. They inspire loyalty without threatening anyone. How is this possible?" Vorel's crystalline form reflected the dim light of the chamber. "It is possible because humanity is not like us. They lead with vision, courage, and respect. We have underestimated the power of ideals." Meanwhile, on the frontier, the Terran fleets continued to explore and settle new worlds. Each mission reinforced the same principles: cooperation, self-sufficiency, and respect. Trade networks expanded, and resources flowed smoothly between human and allied species. No force could match their speed or adaptability. Captain Layla Ortiz reported back to the Assembly from the outermost systems. "Every colony thrives. Resources are sufficient. New species are joining daily. The galaxy is responding to our way of leadership." Helena smiled as she listened to the report. This is how an empire grows, through trust, not fear. As the Terran Empire expanded, the Galactic Council recognized the inevitable. Their attempts at intimidation and blockade had failed. Minor species openly demanded recognition of the Empire. Former allies of the Council sought Terran protection. Even some Council worlds sent secret envoys, proposing peaceful negotiations to maintain relations. Chancellor Vorel addressed the Council in a tense session. "Humanity has built an empire without weapons of oppression. They have united species through trust, not fear. We cannot suppress them. We must recognize them as equals, or risk losing the loyalty of countless worlds." The statement sent ripples across the galaxy. For centuries, the Council had been the unchallenged authority. Now it faced a new power, a rising Terran empire guided by ideals, technology, and humanity's unique determination. In the Independence Cluster, Helena and Rao oversaw the final stages of expansion for the first wave of colonies. Schools were established, research centers opened, and trade routes connected planets to the solar system. For the first time in history, humans and their allies governed without coercion, creating a model of cooperation that inspired even Council species. Admiral Rao looked out at the stars. "It is remarkable," he said. "We went from being expelled to becoming the center of a new order." Helena nodded. "It is not power that defines an empire, Admiral. It is vision, unity, and the courage to act when the world says no. Humanity has learned that lesson well. By the time the first official Terran Stellar Summit convened, dozens of species had formally joined the Empire. Representatives from Clear, Mur, Jiao, and even dissident Council worlds attended, signing agreements of mutual respect, trade, and exploration. The summit was held on Liberty Station, a massive orbital hub built above a recently terraformed planet. Its halls were filled with diverse delegates, each celebrating the birth of a new order. Humans, once seen as reckless and uncontrollable, now stood as leaders of a peaceful, thriving empire. Helena Ward addressed the summit. "Today we celebrate not just humanity's success, but the success of every species that values freedom, cooperation, and growth. The Terran Stellar Empire does not rule through fear. It leads through vision and partnership. Together we will explore the stars, share knowledge, and protect each other. This is our promise to the galaxy." The delegates erupted in applause, some rising to their feet, others transmitting messages to their homeworlds. It was a moment that would be remembered for centuries. The moment humanity proved that ideals could shape empires stronger than fear and coercion. Even the Council finally recognized the Terran Stellar Empire. Official communications acknowledged Earth's leadership and the legitimacy of its allied systems. Trade routes were opened for diplomatic purposes, though still carefully monitored. More importantly, the recognition symbolized a shift in the balance of power. Humanity had not sought vengeance. They had not forced submission. They had shown the galaxy a new way, an empire built on respect, intelligence, and courage. Back on Earth, celebrations continued for weeks. Citizens looked to the sky and saw the fleets moving between stars. Children in schools studied the achievements of explorers like Layla Ortiz. Scientists celebrated discoveries from the Independence Cluster. Engineers designed new ships capable of even greater feats. Humanity had become a symbol of hope and ingenuity, and the galaxy had taken notice. On the observation deck of the Unity Dawn, Helena Ward reflected on the journey from expulsion to empire. She thought of the Council's decree, the threats, the doubts, and the countless moments of struggle. And yet every challenge had strengthened humanity's resolve. Admiral Rao joined her, smiling faintly. "We have come far," he said. Helena nodded. "Far, yes. But the journey has only begun. The stars are endless, and so are the possibilities. Humanity's story is just starting." Below them, the lights of the Terran Empire glimmered across planets, stations, and colonies. It was a galaxy forever changed by one planet's determination to rise. A species once expelled had now become a beacon of strength, unity, and hope. Humanity had proven without a doubt that true power comes not from fear, but from vision,